Last week we had Saul being presented as king before all the people. And then he went home with some help. And then there was an attack by the Ammonites. And they sent a message to all the people of Israel. We need help. And it was Saul, by the power of God, that gathered the people together and went to fight and won a great battle. And all the people then said, aha, here is our king. And we had them finally, as Samuel said would happen, they would get together at Gilgal and they would have the sacrifices and they would officially name Saul as their king, accepted by everybody, and it was a good day, right? But Samuel has a few words that he wants to present to them. And this is a pattern. I like patterns. You like patterns? Now we're going to see that pattern a little later on. But as God turns a new chapter with his people, he always wants to remind them of some things. Remind them how faithful he has been. Remind them how unfaithful they have been. And also remind them that they are the ones that choose how this goes. Now, would you agree that they have made a terrible decision here to get a king replacing God? Absolutely. That's beyond question. It's a bad decision. But even when we make bad decisions and we get off course and take our little detours, does God give up on us? No. Thankfully. Is he going to give up on his people? No. But is he going to remind them, now that we were on this detour, now that we're on this other road over here, they still have a choice to make, right? Can they still be blessed even though they're on a different road now? Absolutely. But if they continue to make bad choices, will God also punish them? Yeah, not for being on a different road, not for choosing a king, but for whatever they do from then on. And that's this message we're going to see tonight. You people need to now that you're on this road, you need to choose. And he's going to start with a couple of important points. So let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 12, starting in verse 1. So the kingdom has been renewed there in Gilgal. Here is your king Saul. He had this great victory by the power of God. Let's burn sacrifices in honor of this. And then Samuel said unto all Israel, behold, I have hearkened unto your voice and all that you said unto me, and have made a king over you. So who decided to have a king? Yeah, it wasn't Samuel. I was just listening to you, right? Verse 2, and now, behold, the king walks before you, and I am old and gray-headed, and behold, my sons are with you. And I always think that's kind of an interesting statement. It's like, my sons, they're doing stupid stuff too. That's the way I always read that. Because he's going to make no effort here to try to protect his sons or say, maybe my son should take over for me. He's like, yeah, they're just one of you, okay? They're just one of you. And I have walked before you from my childhood unto this day. Is that true? Very true. I mean, chosen from the womb. He was going to come up from a child. He worshiped and he served in the temple before everybody. In the synagogue, sorry, not the temple. in the tabernacle. So he's done all that stuff unto this day. They know him. Verse 3. Behold, here I am. Witness against me before the Lord and before his anointed. So before God and the king. Whose ox have I taken? Anybody? 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 Did I take anybody's ox? Or whose ass have I taken? Anybody? Did I steal anybody's stuff? Or whom have I defrauded? Whom have I oppressed? Or of whose hand have I received any bribe to blind mine eyes therewith? If anybody can say it right now, I will restore it. Now that was a problem before Samuel, wasn't it? And the sons of Eli were doing stuff like that and oppressing and taking bribes. So, let me explain here. Your choice of a king, your choice to turn against God as your king, ain't my fault. You can't sit there and say, it's because Samuel was so bad, or Samuel did this, or Samuel did that. He did a good job. You can't say that. Can't blame this on Samuel. Do we do that sometimes when we make bad decisions? In fact, by the way, is King Saul going to do that? See, King Saul's going to be one of those that blames other people and says, it's because they did this or because they did that. But he's making it very clear. I've said it's not because of me. Not because of anything I did. Right? Verse 4. And they said, thou hast not defrauded us, nor oppressed us, neither hast thou aught of any man's hand. And he said to him, the Lord is witness against you, and his anointed is witness this day that you have found nothing wrong in my hand. And they answered, he is witness. So, he just wants to set down a couple of facts here. One, you chose to go down this path. It wasn't because I was doing a bad job. Now, his sons weren't doing a good job, but still, could God have appointed a new judge? Not one of those two knuckleheads? Could he have brought in somebody that he wanted, just like he did with who? Samuel. Samuel was brought in because there were two other knuckleheads, right? So it's like, hey, don't blame me. You chose this on your own because you decided to do this. It wasn't because of anything I did. So let's get that clear, okay? Don't blame anybody else. Also, don't blame who? Don't blame God. Do we do that sometimes? I made that decision. And again, who's going to do that same thing? Saul's going to do that same thing. At times he blames the people. Oh, they made me do it. And at times he'll blame Samuel. You didn't come in time. And sometimes he'll even blame God. Oh, it was too tough. It wasn't good enough. He didn't say this in time. I wasn't sure of this. Do we sometimes do that for our bad mistakes? He says, no. We're not going there either. Verse 6. And Samuel said unto the people, it is the Lord that advanced Moses and Aaron, and that brought your fathers up out of the land of Egypt. So why are you even in this land? Because of God, right? He was faithful. Now therefore stand still, that I may reason with you before the Lord of all the righteous acts of the Lord, which he did to you and to your fathers. Now he's not going to do all of them, so don't panic. It's just a few. When Jacob was come into Egypt, and your fathers cried unto the Lord, then the Lord sent Moses and Aaron, which brought forth your fathers out of Egypt, and made them to dwell in this place. So, they cried for help, and at the right time, he sent deliverance through Moses and Aaron. Correct? Correct. And when they, your fathers, forgat the Lord their God, he sold them into the hand of Sisera, captain of the host of Azor, and into the hand of the Philistines, and into the hand of King Moab, and they fought against them. Why? Why did God let all these people come? Was it because he was being unfaithful? No, but because the people were being unfaithful. Because they did not do as they were told. Therefore, God allowed all of these people to come in. But did God ever give up on them? Was God ever unfaithful? No, verse 10. And they cried unto the Lord and said, we have sinned because we have forsaken the Lord and have served Balaam and Ashtaroth. But now deliver us out of the hand of our enemies, and we will serve thee. And the Lord sent Jerubbabel. Everybody remember Jerubbabel? What's his other name that we know him by? He had pots and lanterns and 300 men. Gideon. Present Gideon, right? Very small band, very small person, very skittish person. And Bedan and Jephthah and, me. So, from me, right? And delivered you out of the hand of your enemies on every side, and you dwelled safe. So let's look back in history. Who brought you here? God brought you here. By his strong hand, by his promises, just as he told Abraham many generations before, he was going to bring them out, brought them to the land, even though, were they faithful on that trip? How many times were they unfaithful during that trip? I mean, whining and complaining the whole time, not trusting in the Lord, the whole golden calf thing, the failure to go in and trust the Lord to take the land, but God was faithful, brought them in the land, and even in the land, what? Were they faithful? No. Off serving others, not taking the land like they were supposed to, not driving out all the bad influences and things like that. But God would bring punishment, but would he abandon them altogether? They called on the Lord, he helped them. So was there always grace? Was there always forgiveness? What does this got to do with now? Well, again, they've made another bad choice, haven't they? They've been unfaithful again. Is it likely some bad things are going to happen? But is God ever going to be unfaithful? Never. So, but in all of this, could they blame God? Could they say, we need a king because, God's not a very good king. We need a king because God's not very faithful. No. It's all them, right? Verse 12. And when you saw that Nahash, the king of the children of Ammon, came against you, you said unto me, Nay, but a king shall reign over us when the Lord your God was your king. Who's that guy? Well, he's the one that just attacked Jabesh Gilead. He's the one where God used Samuel and Saul to go up and defeat them and deliver them and all that. It's still who? It's still God. And the king is just an instrument of God, just as the judges were instruments of God, just as the priests were instruments of God, just as Moses and Aaron were instruments of God, but it's all God. So God is, even now, still being faithful, right? Even though you've chosen the king. So, here's your choice, people. Verse 13. Now, therefore, behold the king, whom you have chosen, and whom you have desired. And behold, the Lord has set a king over you. And I think this is a bit of an important point. Because what if King Saul is not a good king? What do you think the first words out of most of the people of Israel will be? Samuel picked a poor king. Or, who picked it? God picked a terrible king. No, he's saying this is whose choice? This is your choice. I will give him power. I will watch over him. I will use him as much as he's willing to be used. I will try to help him as much as I can. But at the end of the day, this is whose choice? Don't blame Samuel. Don't blame God. This is your choice. Behold, there he is. And right now people are like, yeah, woo-hoo, he was good. He whooped that Nahash guy. Oh, this is great. This is wonderful. They going to be saying that very soon? No. But this is a reminder to us. Who makes the decisions? If you find yourself in trouble, who got you there? You find yourself without the blessings of God, whose fault is it? Yeah. Well, my friend, he said this or that, or God should have warned me, or what? No. It's our decision, isn't it? And sometimes those decisions put us down another road, but fortunately, is God still with us? No matter what we do, God is with us, right? And they have a choice to make. What now? Choose wisely. Yeah, this isn't a wise choice, but still, choose wisely now, right? Verse 14. So, here's your king. Here's your choice. If you will fear the Lord and serve him and obey his voice and not rebel against the commandment of the Lord, then shall both you and also the king that reigns over you continue following the Lord your God. You will stay by his side. He will lead you. He will protect you. He'll be like that great shepherd, right? And get you through all this. But, and there's always one of those words, isn't it? But, if you will not obey the voice of the Lord, but rebel against the command of the Lord, then shall the hand of the Lord be against you, as it was against your fathers. In other words, the rules have not changed, have they? The choice is still yours. This is important because let's face it, there some decisions we make, errors we make that are life-changing? Yeah. Maybe have a baby out of wedlock. Maybe commit a crime. Maybe marry the wrong person. There's a lot of decisions, not go to college or go to the wrong college or do the wrong job. There's a lot of decisions we make and we don't consult God. We just I'm going to do this. This is what I want to be. This is what I want to do. And what does God say? It's a bad choice, but can there still be blessing? What's the rules? Obey, blessing. Disobey from this point on. Well, he's not saying, okay, now I'm going to punish you forever for choosing a king. He's not going to punish us forever for that one decision we made. He's not going to do that. He's going to say, fully blessed, full blessings are available now. You just have to what? Obey. Anybody see the theme here? Choose wisely, right? In fact, this all really goes all the way back to the garden, doesn't it? Adam and Eve, do not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. The day you do, you will surely what? Die. Don't eat it. Forever bliss, wonderful communion, never die, never pain, no suffering, no sin, wonderful forever and ever and ever and ever. But if you don't, and when they did, God said, I'm done with you forever and ever. No, he didn't do that, did he? From then on, he said what? You obey me, I will bless you. If you don't, I will have to punish you. It's been the same rules, hasn't it? In fact, when he created his nation, let's go back, keep something in 1 Samuel there. Let's go back to Exodus chapter 19. Anybody want to remember what's in Exodus chapter 20? 10 Commandments. But before he gave them the 10 Commandments, God said this. They're at Mount Sinai. Exodus chapter 19, verse 3. And Moses went up unto God, and the Lord called unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thus shalt thou say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel, You have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. Right? Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, and keep my commandment, then you shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people. For all the earth is mine, and you shall be unto me a kingdom of priests, and a holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel. In other words, what? I've brought you out, and you have a choice to make. Follow me, and I will bless you above all others, right? I will protect you, and you will be my kingdom, a priest, and I will bless you over all the rest of them, right? Sounds like a good deal, doesn't it? Especially for a band of what? Slaves, basically. A bunch of nobodies who have no home, no place. They haven't even gone to the land yet, right? They just got out of Egypt, gone to Sinai. They haven't gone very far. He says, this is the promise. Of course, what did they do? Did they obey? How about in Deuteronomy? See, that first generation, first, of course, you had the golden calf, which was a big dummy moment. But I would say even worse for that generation was what? We will not go into the land. All you have to do is go in, people. Just go in, I'll deliver the land to you. And they said what? Can't do it. God can't do it. We'll not do it. Let's go back to Egypt. That generation died off, didn't it? Yeah, no. 40 years later, now we're at Deuteronomy chapter 30. Moses is still around, still leading, and he tells them this, chapter 30, verse 11, For this commandment which I command you this day is not hidden from thee, neither is it far off. It is not in heaven that thou shouldest say, Who shall go up for us to heaven and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it? Are God's rules clear? Are his commandments clear, what he expects of us? Yeah, how clear? Actually, you can break it down to two things. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and your neighbor as yourself, right? There it is. Verse 13, Neither is beyond the sea that thou shouldst say, Who shall go over the sea for us and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it? It's not a mystery. It's not a treasure that you must find and attain to. It is something available to all. But the word is very nigh unto thee, in thy mouth and in thy heart, and thou mayest do it. See, I have set before thee this day life and good, and death and evil. Talk about the easiest decisions in the history of decision making. Which would you choose? Good and life, or evil and death?
Good and life.
Of course. Who wouldn't? Right? Yeah, that's the choice. Verse 16, what does he mean? In that I command thee this day to love the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways, and to keep his commandments, and his statutes, and his judgments, that thou mayest live and multiply. And the Lord thy God shall bless thee in the land whither thou go to possess it. And if thine heart turn away, so that thou wilt not hear, but shall be drawn away and worship other gods and serve them, I denounce unto you this day that you shall surely perish, and that you shall not prolong your days upon the land, whether thou passest over Jordan to go to possess it. You're going to go on the land. God's going to give it to you. You want to stay there? You want to be blessed there? Obey. If not, I will kick you out. By the way, does he? Yeah. Israel first and then Judah. Yeah. But is God still even faithful then? We know the story, right? Verse 19, I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose what? Life, of course. That both thou and thy seed, thy descendants, may live, that thou mayest love the Lord thy God, and that thou mayest obey his voice, and that thou mayest cleave unto him. For he is thy life, and the length of thy days, that thou may dwell in the land which the Lord sware unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give them. Right? You're a new nation. Obey, and I will bless you as a nation. You're finally going into the land. You want to stay in the land? Want to stay in the blessing? Do what? Obey God and follow statutes. They have the land. Joshua 23. They have conquered the land. They have divided the land. They've told each one of the tribes the land that they are to go, and they are to utterly drive out all the people, right? Joshua 23, starting in verse 4. Behold, I have divided unto you by lot these nations that remain to be an inheritance for your tribes from Jordan, with all the nations that I have cut off, even unto the great sea westward. And the Lord your God, he shall expel them from before you and drive them out of your sight, and you shall possess their land as the Lord your God hath promised unto you. Be you therefore very courageous to keep and to do all that is written in the book of the law of Moses, that you turn not aside therefrom to the right hand or to the left, that you come not among these nations, these that remain among you, neither make mention of the name of their gods, nor cause to swear by them, neither serve them, nor bow down yourselves unto them, but cleave unto the Lord your God, as you have done unto this day. So what is his instructions? Get those people out of here. Don't even mention those people or their gods. And focus on who? On God. In fact, he gets pretty strong here, chapter 24. You're very familiar with this passage. Now, therefore, fear the Lord and serve him in sincerity and in truth. Not just with lip service, not just going through the motions, but serve him with your whole heart. And put away the gods which your fathers served on the other side of the flood and in Egypt, and serve the Lord. And if it seem evil unto you to serve the Lord, choose you this day whom you will serve. Okay, right? If you don't want to serve God, choose something else. Whether the gods which your fathers served, which were on the other side of the flood, or the gods of the Amorites, in whose land you dwell. So, kind of worthless gods, aren't they? But as for me and my house, we will what? Serve the Lord. Moses said, God said here, you've got a choice, don't you? Serve me and I'll bless you. Moses said, choose. Life or death, blessing or cursing. Choose. Joshua said what? Choose. When they were created a nation, when they were about to go in the land, when they conquered the land, and now, as they have a king. What does God say? Same thing. Choose. Choose to serve me and I will still bless you. Yes, nothing's really changed in that area. Yes, I know you've got a king now. Now you've hurt my feelings and you've done something stupid. That's all right. Serve me. Obey me. I'll bless you. But if you don't, you and the king are going down. Right? In fact, let's go back to 1 Samuel.
It seems to be important to choose with integrity. Like, there is an actual option given. You can choose the other way, but like, know that you're choosing the other way.
Yeah.
Because then you will realize the mistake of the choice that you've made when the consequences come upon you. It's deceptive when we choose that other way, but deceive ourselves and thinking we're still serving God. Yeah.
Just act like we're serving God when we're really serving other things, right? Because then we can start blaming things. Hey, God, I was doing everything I was supposed to do. You must be unfaithful. Is he ever unfaithful? No. God knows, right? Love him. Serve him. In fact, God decides to give him a sign to show how serious he is. Don't you love when God gives a sign? People of God actually don't, in the Old Testament, like when God gives them a sign. Signs in the Old Testament are not necessarily good ones. So, 1 Samuel chapter 12, verse 16. Now therefore stand and see this great thing which the Lord will do before your eyes. Just look. Wait for a moment. Here it comes. Is it not the wheat harvest today? Is that a happy time? Is that an important time? What's the one thing you don't want on harvest day? Rain. Why? Because the wheat gets wet and it molds. So the last thing they need is rain. I will call unto the Lord, and he shall send thunder and rain, that you may perceive and see that your wickedness is great, which you have done in the sight of the Lord, in asking you a king. So let's make no mistake, people. Just because God is going to bless you still, if you obey him, keep in mind, it's still a dumb idea. Right? He's still not happy about this, but is he still willing to bless them? Yes. So Samuel called on the Lord, and the Lord sent thunder and rain that day, and all the people greatly feared the Lord and Samuel. And things, do you think? So what did they say? Please stop. Verse 19, and all the people said unto Samuel, pray for thy servants unto the Lord thy God, that we die not, for we have added unto all our sins this evil to ask us a king. And that is so important, because this really is the first time that they have admitted what? Yeah, this was dumb. This is the first time they said, yes, we were wrong. And by the way, is that important? To really be able to move forward on this other track? Is it important for them to actually admit that they did something wrong? Yes. But if we're willing to admit we did something wrong and say we're sorry, can we happily go down the next path with God's blessings? If we're willing to what? Obey him and follow him. So it took just a few, I don't know how long that rain lasted. I get the picture of just a few minutes. It was enough. Whoa. And Samuel did pray, and it stopped. Because here's the grace of God, verse 20. And Samuel said unto the people, fear not. He's not here to kill you. He's not here to destroy you. Yes, he's not happy about this. He could destroy you for this decision. You've made your life a lot harder. But it's okay. God's not here to destroy you. He's here to help you. You have done all this wickedness, yet turn not aside from following the Lord, but serve the Lord with all your heart. Let's move forward from here, people. Is God willing to do that? Yeah. Is he still willing to bless them and watch over them? What does he expect of them? Nothing more. See, that's what I like about this. It's not like God said, okay, since you have made this terrible choice and done this terrible thing, I want you to obey me plus I'm going to take my pound of flesh too. I also want this. I'm also going to punish you every day. I'm going to remind you every single day. I'm going to make sure you understand every single day how much you hurt my feelings on this sin. Does God do that? Oh, people do. People will do that, but God doesn't. He's just here to remind them, yes, it was bad, but I could destroy you for it, but I'm not going to. I'm a God of grace. So let's move forward. In fact, verse 21, and turn you not aside, for then should you go after vain things, which cannot profit nor deliver. For they are what? Vain. Kind of like Ecclesiastes, right? I do find that interesting. I always wonder if when the teacher, Solomon, is writing Ecclesiastes, he's read 1 Samuel, hasn't he? And the whole time he's writing those things, is he saying, wait a minute. When we first asked for a king, I remember somebody saying, don't go after vain things because they're all vain. Anything else that we go after to try to attain the wonderful blessings of God, of peace and joy and love and those kinds of things, they're all failures. When did God say that? All the way back at 1 Samuel. It's like, don't do it. Don't add insult to injury here and keep going down this path, but serve the Lord with all your heart and don't turn to other things, and God will bless. How do we know that? Verse 22. For the Lord will not forsake his people. He's not going to give up on anybody, is he? For his great name's sake. Is he not going to give up to them because he just thinks they're so wonderful? Are they like a little puppy that's just so cute but pees on the carpet? So, oh, I can't stay mad at you. You're so cute. No, this is a stubborn, stiff-necked, awful people. Otherwise known as what? Human beings, yeah. That's right. So it's like, hey, you're horrible. You make these decisions, you know they're dumb, and you do them anyway. So no, but I will never give you for my name's sake, right? Because it hath pleased the Lord to make you his people. And it still pleases the Lord to make you his people. It still pleases the Lord to acknowledge you as his people. Right? By the way, before we lose the thread, as God said of his people, if you obey me, I will make you a nation of priests. I will make you a nation above all nations. That's also us now, isn't it, according to 1 Peter? He has chosen us. Will he ever give up on us? Will we make dumb decisions like this sometimes, as a group and as individuals? But God will bless, won't he? If we're willing to what? Repent, say we're sorry, confess those sins, and then obey him with all of our heart. All right? In fact, look what he says in verse 23. I love this. Moreover, as for me, what's Samuel going to do? Is he going to be that guy who's every day going to remind them, I told you so, I told you so, I told you so? Is he going to be the one sitting there saying, I can't believe you did this, I can't believe God still loves you, I can't believe that there's forgiveness for what you did? Is he going to be that guy? No. That's why I like Samuel. What does Samuel do? Moreover, as for me, God forbid that I should sin against the Lord in ceasing to pray for you. When you see somebody make a dumb decision like that and go down a path they should not be going down, what is your job? Judge or pray? In fact, it's a sin to do anything else other than pray for them and support them to bring them back to the Lord. Isn't it? That's what he's saying here, basically. It'd be a sin for me not to cease for a moment from praying for you and wanting the best for you. But I will teach you the good and the right way. I will pray for you, and I will continually remind you of the good and right way. I will continue to remind you to serve the Lord. So now that we're on this new path, you can be fully blessed by the Lord. Isn't that a great story? That's a great way forward, isn't it? So was there hope here? Was there grace here? And there was support here. And he's going to finish it up with his final words. Final words that echo back to what God said, what Moses said, what Joshua said, what he has already said. Bottom line here, folks, as we start off on this new path together, only fear the Lord. He's still king, really, isn't he? Only fear the Lord and serve him in truth with all your heart. For consider how great things he hath done for you. You need some help doing that? Think about the great things he's done. And sometimes we may think, oh, look at the king. Oh, let's fear and serve him. Think of all the things that the king has done for us. Can anybody do for you anything close to what God has done for you? In fact, the king can't do anything except the Lord uses him. So who should still be the focus of our worship, still be the focus of our reverence, still be the focus of our love and trust and service? Should be the Lord, right? But, there's that word again. That nasty little word. But if you shall still do wickedly, you shall be consumed. Both you and your king. Is the king going to save them from God? No. No. Don't take this grace and this forgiveness as God being weak here. You made this choice. God has allowed you to make this choice. It's a dumb choice, but he will still bless you if you return and follow him. Rules still apply. So continue to do that. But if you don't follow me, then I will have to act. Okay? It's a neat little speech, isn't it? But this is how we should act. Again, how many times do we individually or somebody we know or even sometimes as a group, we make a decision that puts us on a path that we should not be on? Happens. Because we are what? Sinners saved by the grace of God. That's what we are, right? It's going to happen sometimes. What should we take from this story? It's going to be okay. If we're willing to acknowledge that we made a mistake, that what we did was wrong, we were willful, we were obstinate and stubborn, and we went down this path, but we also need to acknowledge that God is still with us, isn't he? He will forgive us, and if we're willing to now continue to follow him, revere him, and love him, then he can fully bless us still, can't he? He can still get us where we need to be. It's going to be okay. God thinks that way. Sometimes we as human beings don't, do we? Oh, it's all over. Life is over. Oh, God can never love me again. God can never do that again. That's human thinking. And I love Samuel. That's why I wanted to study Samuel, because Samuel says, I love you guys. We're moving ahead. I'm going to work with this king. I'm going to work on your behalf. I'm going to be praying for you and praying for him every step of the way. You just got to know everybody needs to keep obeying God, and everything's going to be fine. I'm going to keep reminding you of that. I'm going to do everything I can to make this a success. Now, we know it's not going to be, but in Samuel's lifetime, this king thing is not going to really work out that well. But even in that, maybe the next group will learn something. So we'll see. Right. Any thoughts?
That was awesome.
Awesome? Oh, cool.
I see there being such a directness and an honesty in this whole message.
Yep.
He doesn't God doesn't pad the message or treat with kid gloves.
Mm.
There's a dignity he shows to his people in that.
Yeah.
He's just real. He's like, I love you. But then, like, what struck me is that the very end, it ends on a dour note of warning, right?
Yeah.
And there's it's just he's just like laying it all out there, just saying the truth. He knows what we need to hear. Doesn't stroke our ego. Doesn't like worry about our feelings. He just gives it to us and then lets us respond as we will.
Right. Which kind of takes you back to Deuteronomy. The word is nigh you. It's there. It's clear. It's set out there before you. You just have to make the choice. And
We know, God knows the future. We know that
Yeah.
God knows the future. And he knows the future of this nation, but that doesn't mean that individuals couldn't respond to this
Huh?
and change.
Absolutely. So, we're sitting here reading this and knowing what happened as we do all of these passages, but, learn the heart of God. In real time, at that moment, as in every moment, he is completely sincere here. If you will obey me, I will bless you beyond measure. And he showed that was when they were willing to obey him. Amazing what he did for them. But also, I will punish. But he also preserves. He always keeps all of his promises, always faithful. We never can't blame him for this being his fault or he didn't do his work. And it always comes down to us and the decisions we're going to be making. Right? Let's pray. Now,